So the video you saw over the last 1 minute was performed by my Tello drone using a Python 3 code. So let me tell you, there are three ways you can control a Tello. One is through the remote controller of Tello. The second way is to use a mobile app that is published by the manufacturers of Tello, which is basically the Rise Tech Labs. And the third way is you can control a Tello through a programming language. So the programming language which I used to control a Tello was Python 3. It was Python 3.5. So before I start explaining how I use a Python 3.5 to control a Tello and to make all those flips and those horizontal rotations and the moving lefts and down rights, I'll first like to explain you the hardware of Tello. So this is the Tello drone which you saw for the last 1 minute doing all those flips and all those actions. So you can buy this Tello drone from Amazon with it costs something around 15,000. So let me tell you, this Tello drone comes with a battery, which is here. So when it comes in the package, the battery is not attached to the drone. So the drone and the battery is not attached. So you have to take the battery and you have to attach to the drone like this. And once you attach the battery to the drone, it is usually not charged. So you have to charge this drone in a 1.5 ampere charger for almost like 1.5 hours. So when you charge this drone for 1.5 hours, it becomes fully charged and you can start doing the different actions with this drone. So once it is fully charged, you can switch on the drone. So there's a switch button over here, and if you press it, the drone gets switched on. And as you can see, my Tello is getting switched on. Now, having explained you the hardware part of Tello, so basically like this is like the internals of Tello. I'll just explain. So the internals of Tello is something like that. There is a Intel chip inside Tello which actually hosts the firmware of Tello and is a battery of Tello, and the other thing is basically there's a camera of Tello that is capable of shooting a video uh, with 5 megapixels. So this is how the hardware of Tello looks like. So now, if you want to control this Tello drone, whether you are doing from a controller or whether you are doing from a mobile app or whether you are doing from a Python code, you have to understand one thing is that Tello is basically a device. So this is basically a device, and the remote controller or the mobile that is hosting the Python app or the computer that is hosting the Python program or any other language program that is used to control the Tello, these are two separate devices. So you need to connect them. So that means I'll first explain how the networking of Tello looks like. So as I told that there is a small chip inside Tello that is hosted by an Intel processor, but in addition to that, Tello also has got a small Wi-Fi chip inside it, and that acts as a Wi-Fi access point of Tello. So that means if you want to control a Tello by anything, that particular device that is getting used to control a Tello, that must first get connected to the Wi-Fi access point of Tello. And how do the Wi-Fi access point look like? So this is how it looks like. So if you can see, so there is a the Wi-Fi access point of Tello looks like this. As you can see, there's a connection that is Tello FDA 553. So this is how the Wi-Fi access point of Tello looks like. Having shown you how the access point of Tello looks like, so now it is very clear that any device that will be used to control a Tello first needs to get connected to that particular access point and come to the same wireless LAN of that of the Tello. So we have now understood how the hardware of Tello looks like, how the processor of Tello looks like, how the networking protocol of Tello looks like. Now it is time to understand how the controller sends messages to Tello and how the controller receives messages from Tello. And for sending and receiving messages from Tello, It uses a protocol which is basically the user datagram protocol, the UDP protocol. The UDP protocol is quite fast compared to the TCP because it uses a header size which is almost like 2.5 times lesser than the TCP, and it is essentially a non-hand. It uses a non-double-way. It doesn't use a double-way handshaking, so it makes the UDP pretty fast compared to TCP. So Tello uses a UDP protocol to send messages back to the remote controller, and it uses a UDP protocol to receive uh, messages or commands from the controller or the mobile app or the Python code. So the UDP port number that the Tello uses, which we'll be seeing later in the coding, in our coding part also, the port number is 8889. So this is the port number that Tello uses to receive and send packets. So that means the Tello hosts a Wi-Fi access point, and after it hosts a Wi-Fi access point, it basically starts a UDP server inside the Tello drone, and our controller first gets connected to the Wi-Fi access point to come to the same LAN of that of the Tello. Then it makes uses of that UDP protocol to set set or send information to Tello. So the commands which you saw like flipping or rotating the Tello was sent by the controller to the Tello using the UDP protocol at port 8889. And there is another set of commands which is basically the getter commands, which are used to get information from Tello to the remote controller or the mobile app. And those getter commands are like getting the speed of Tello, getting the battery percentage of Tello. So with that, we have understood the hardware, the networking, and the message passing protocol of Tello. Now it is time to go to the software part of Tello and to see the actual action, how the Python code uses the this UDP protocol and the processor to make the Tello actually to work, fly, and to do all the actions you expect it to do. Now that you have understood the hardware and the networking and the message protocol of Tello, it's time to understand how the software, how the Python 3 is used to control the Tello. So the most first important step is the set of commands, how we give the set of commands. So this is basically the text file that holds the set of commands I used to control the Tello drone. So all the flips, all the back flips and the front flips and the right flips, what you saw was due to this sequential set of commands. So the code which we are using right now, it basically expects the set of commands to be provided to it sequentially at the compile time, and after that it basically goes through line by line of this particular file and executes each command. So that means this particular file, which is command.txt, needs to be provided as a argument to our input, as an argument to our Python code, so that it can read this particular file line by line and executes this command. So the the starting point of the Python code that receives this particular command.txt as an argument is basically tellotest.py. So let us look into this code, how this code looks like. So as I told you, this takes this particular file command.txt as an argument, and it reads the file line by line, and for each line, and that means for each command, it executes the command using this tello.send command. So this tello package has been taken from tello tello/python, which is basically the official repository which has been hosted by Rise Tech Lab, who are basically the makers of Tello. So let us now inspect a bit into this Tello package. So for this Tello package, we'll go to this particular Python file, which is basically the tello.py. And as I explained you during the hardware description, that Tello uses a UDP protocol to send its messages or to receive messages, and it is a port 8889. You can see that it is basically the port 8889, and these are the two commands that it uses for establishing the UDP socket connection. So this is one, and the other thing is that I also explained you during the hardware description section that Tello uh, Tello has got a Wi-Fi chip in that, which behaves as an access point. So whatever the remote controller or the Python program or a mobile app which is used to control a Tello, it first must get connected to this Wi-Fi access point, and I showed you the mobile Wi-Fi access point, which is basically Tello dash a serial number. So this is basically the address of the Wi-Fi access point that a Tello hosts, and this is basically 8889 is basically the UDP port number of the Tello through which it basically receives and sends some messages. So with this, like, this is like more or less like how, like, what are the libraries that are used for the Tello drone to what are used by the Python 3 to control the Tello drone. So now we will go to the command which will help you to fire the piece of command that will actually do the things and do the actions. And this is the command. This basically you have to call the Tello test.py, and as this is a Python 3, you have to call this Python using a Python 3, and you have to pass this command.text as an argument. So that's all how you are. These are very like that's all how you use a Python to control and provide a sequence of commands to Tello drone. So having learned how to control a Tello drone using a Python 3 and how to make it perform the actions you want it to do, we'll conclude our session for today, and then in the next session we'll bring up some more interesting use cases about Tello drone. Till that, bye bye.